Hey everyone, it's Evan. Got some exciting news. Greg and I were on national TV.
It's all fake news.
This past April 4th. That's right. We are on Newsmax on Carl Higbee Frontline. Every spring, Carl does a segment on lawn care. He reached out, wanted us on the show. We got on. It was awesome. And enjoy the show and the segment.
All right. Well, since April is National Lawn Care Month, are you ready for greener pastures? I certainly know I am. In fact, the maiden mow is just one of my favorite times of the year. I've been dropping my 2600. My soil samples came back at 6.2% pH or 6.2 pH. So I dropped about 1,000 pounds of pelletized lime on it per acre. I graded an entire area of the lawn. So I had to, make it for a smoother mow. I had to start from scratch. In that area, the first round of seed went down as soon as the soil temps hit 42 degrees. The oil is changed in my 60-inch bad boy zero-turn mower. Blades are sharp. We are ready to roll. So as the spring green up approaches, I'm calling on all dads out there. Do you have the best lawn in your neighborhood? Because if you're watching, you could. Host of one of actually my favorite podcasts, Turf Nerds, a lawn care podcast about all the things you need to know. Evan Lindeman and Greg Durbin. This is great. It's actually really cool to have you guys on. New people joining the lawn crew in the neighborhood. First piece of advice for the spring.
Oh, man. Greg, I'll take this off. First piece of advice for the spring was, I guess, make sure you have your sprinklers all turned on and ready to go and see the bare spots in your lawn, because we mow a lot of lawns, Greg and I do, and there's a lot of bare spots in the lawn. And just make sure you're seeded and be ready to go, because guess what? When the lawns start growing, they're going to grow and they're not going to stop.
Yeah, well, Greg, so I have a lot of hills, as you see my property scrolling through right there with my cross mows and straight lines, which I'm very proud of. Hills,
very nice.
Toughest thing to do. I've tried hydro seeding, I've tried everything. What's the best method to get a hill seeded and ready for the spring?
The seed, the hydro seed you'd think would be the best way to be able to do it, but especially on the hills. But sometimes you might just have to spread it by hand. And the other thing is they got the injection stuff now. If you want to have somebody come out and do the injections for you, that is probably a really good way to go now. They just inject the seed down there, aerating at the same time. That might be a really good way for you to do it.
All right. So Evan, a lot of people get out there. They're like, hey, I don't have a soil sample. I'm just going to throw down some, 10, 10, 10. What do you say to people out there who are, amateur lawn guys, but really trying to turn it on this year? What's the real scoop?
I guess the real scoop, if you're an amateur lawn guy really trying to turn it on this year, anyone can really fertilize a lawn and do it. You can follow the instructions on there, but it's just keeping your lawn healthy and watering it, and also aerating your lawn. Poking the holes, that's what we call it, poking little holes and cores into your lawn really helps the lawn thicken and lushen up. That's just basic. You can go rent an aerator yourself and do it, and that's going to really be a big turnaround, but the big thing is just seeding and watering. And my cat can seed and water lawns, so that's it's kind of my tip and advice.
Yeah. Greg, I got 1 minute left here. As we get into this season, what is the biggest mistake you see people making that's like a quick fix that they can do?
Greg?
I think water is really important, and the best time to water your lawn is about 5 a.m. A lot of people will get out there, they'll water it in the middle of the day, especially in the hot sun. It doesn't burn your lawn, but it's not absorbing. And so that's the issue, is water your lawn 5 o'clock in the morning, and water it heavy. You don't have to water it every day. Water it heavy for, let's say, for example, 20 minutes, and then as opposed to 5 minutes every day. But it gets your roots down into the lawn and gets a good solid system for you.
Well, there you have it. Evan, Greg, so much appreciate it. I love your podcast, guys. It's actually fantastic. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's Aaron with the Mowing in the Dark Lawn Care Podcast.
Hey, this is Tony's Lawn Care Talk.
Hey guys, Cameron here with the Lawn Care Life in Missouri.
Hey guys, this is Dan White with Lawn Care Unscripted.
What up guys, it's Phil with Phil's Lawn Care.
And you're listening to the Turf Nerds.
It's the 14th of April here right now, and the grass is getting ready, isn't it?
Grass is getting ready, but it's really wet out there. We did that job a mulch job, 2 mulch jobs for you. And the grass was really wet, really soft lawns. And I'm not sure when we're going to be able to get out to mow. It's going to be interesting. So I was thinking we'd be able to get out mid-April if it stays as wet as it has been. And I think we've got more snow coming possibly. It's just going to be really wet for us to be able to get out soon. So we have to play it by ear.
Yeah, it is. We did a mulch job on the 4th, guys, and we had all much of rain coming earlier on that week, and we got the Toro mulch for us. We'll probably riff on that in a different episode, but Greg, you and I were impressed. We did 10 yards of mulch. It was a 2-yard and then an 8-yard job, and oh my goodness, talk about not having to use a wheelbarrow, Greg. I don't think you walked more than 20 feet between the 2 jobs, right?
Oh, it was really nice having that. I was glad you had it. That first job we did in 40 minutes, and I think that almost included setup as well. And then the other job was I think we did that in 3 hours, was it? And we were able to get done. I think we spent 4.5 hours total in the day doing mulch. So it worked out really well. Got to admit, I like that. I like that unit that you had there, and it made it go a lot faster, especially with your dump insert. You were able to take that dump insert, and we were able to just kind of shift some of that stuff right down into your bucket on your multi-force, and that saved us a ton of time and saved us a lot of energy too, not having to scoop all that stuff off the driveway. So yeah, I was really impressed.
That's what really saved us, guys. So my dump insert, I think it can hold about 3 yards. Shout out to the guys at Site 1 Supply. We had the Pro Mulch, which is basically the triple shredded mulch. And the guy there who's working said if they finagle it the right way, they can get 3 yards in there. I had 2 yards in there, and Greg, you have to admit that we didn't have to shovel up anything. I just tilted the dump insert a little bit, shoved everything into the mulch force insert on my multi-force, drove it over. We probably had we had a small pile of mulch that hit the cement. It was literally awesome. I mean, we did 2 yards of mulch for the first job in like 35, 40 minutes, and that was us having to go slow because both yards that we did were super wet.
Yeah, and that really did affect us, having to go slow. So I think we could have gotten it done even faster, and so that was real important. That was real nice, especially for our first jobs of the season, getting us ready and getting us in shape to do future jobs. So that was pretty nice as well. Downside is you had to go pick up mulch. But having that insert was really nice. It makes you really want to consider whether or not you want to get yourself a dump trailer as well, though, because on those bigger jobs like that 8-yard job, it did save us time. And I mean, we still had to scoop everything up. So if we had a large dump trailer, we could have just tilted and scooped most of that stuff out as well.
I mean, thinking about it though, so I had quoted this one job fine. The second job I had quoted 6 yards. It was probably, Greg, you would agree, it was probably about 7 rather than 6, but we just got an extra 2, which made it 8 yards. And that's where getting a dump trailer would come into play. I think my buddy's dump trailer holds 7 or 8 yards. I could be wrong, but something like that. If you have a dump trailer, guys, that obviously dumps, you can just kind of cattywampus the dump trailer back. And if you got a wheelbarrow or a mulch force and any sort of like mulch attachment you can put on your mower. Greg and I we're talking about maybe getting something on his Bobcat mower. That's kind of maybe in the works. But especially with the multi-force, with the low flow hydro kit and being able to dump things over, I have never been so impressed. I just said, Greg, you don't need to be shoveling and walking around with a wheelbarrow. And so it saved us so much time. And that really poses the question of just possibly getting a dump trailer, but then you need a second truck. Greg's got the 3500 dually. So we could have done that. But Greg, I was awfully, really awfully pleased with those 2 jobs. And hopefully at this point, since it's the 14th, we're going to get some cleanups done for you. And Greg is the king at lining up mulch jobs, so I'm looking forward. We're looking forward to that too.
The hydraulic that you have on that was great. The downside of the aftermarket one that I'd be considering looking at it is that it doesn't have any hydraulics in it, so you're able to just tilt that thing and lift it and tilt it, and that was very advantageous. I think the downside of what I would probably be looking at is to tilt it, you'd have to get off the mower and then try and tilt the bucket. Depends on the weight. I haven't looked at them much yet, but I get a feeling that could be a potential problem. But that's an aftermarket, and but your Multiforce was really set up for that.
Greg, that's a great transmission because
wasn't that good?
Transmission. I said transition. Oh my goodness! Oh, we haven't done one of these drops here in a while, Greg.
Hey guys, it's Cousin Kenny.
We are supposed to do an obligatory Cousin Kenny drop, but we haven't. But today we just kind of want to riff on, guys, a little bit about OEM versus aftermarket equipment. Maybe this discussion has been tossed around here and there, but I mean, we can start with a relatable question. Have you ever stood there, in your mower dealership and they give you a price for blades or something like that, and you think, oh, should I really go with name brand? And so we kind of want to dive in because I've even had guys at I go to two dealers, but I've had guys at my bigger dealer suggest that I go look up for parts online or buy aftermarket, and that that's the question that we kind of want to pose to you to give a little simple breakdown. OEM stands for original equipment manufacturer. It's obviously parts by made by the same manufacturer as your equipment. Think Toro blades, like Toro makes those blades. Talk about an OEM price hit, Greg. I've complained to you about this, Greg, but Cub Cadets blades. I bought 6 Gator Cub Cadet blades to do cleanups, and they were $250 as opposed to the aftermarket parts made by third companies, which they're often cheaper and more widely available. And I guess we just want to kind of talk about where you guys kind of fall between this, Greg. And Greg, I'd say you and I are relatively on the same page with this, aren't we?
I think for me it depends on the part and what I'm going to go with. Certain things I'll probably use like filters, but yeah, the aftermarket stuff I've seen in some cases it works. It can work really well. So it just kind of, I think it almost for me depends on the part.
It does depend on the part, because back in the day, shout out to this guy who used to work at Weingarts in Farmington Hills. His name is Tim Parrish. He was a wizard. So back in the day when my dad was more involved in my business, I mean, I've taken it over for the past, 13 years. He helped me the first couple of years, but Dad and I would go up to Weingarts, and this guy was great. So Tim worked in the service area at this dealer, guys, and this is the kind of service and guy that you want. He could do maintenance on your equipment while selling you parts, and he was always trying to save you money. Like, he gave me a recoil once for my Stihl FS90R weed whip that I had back in the day, or maybe it was the 91R, and I remember it was just a recoil. It had busted, and he gave it to me, and I tried to put it on, and with this recoil, there's like a metal like sort of wire that wraps around with the string, and I just messed it up. He actually came outside and totally installed the recoil for me. Like, he was the guy where you'd bring stuff. He would light up a chainsaw there, like on the table, Greg, and fix it for you and diagnose it. But Tim was always the one. And another guy at my dealer named Chris, they at least for certain types of equipment, guys, because I've seen it on Facebook, Greg, and Greg is the savage on our local and national lawn care Facebook groups. At least in my Facebook feed, Greg, I see you. It always shows that Greg Durman commented, and you get like a lot of likes. But I've seen guys that have used off-brand 2-cycle oil or off-brand hydro oil for their mowers, or even off-brand or aftermarket, and same thing, engine oil for their mowers. But back to the main point, Chris and Tim always said, at least with your hydros and even with the engine oil, you're going to want to use what Exmark or Toro or Cub Cadet or Bobcat recommends, because guys have experienced, and I've seen it, they put in an aftermarket engine oil or 2-cycle oil or even hydro oil into their mowers, and they don't get the longevity and life out of the equipment just because they're not using the name brand stuff. I just thought that was always pretty fascinating.
I used to work at the Country Club of Lansing when I was in college. It's actually we'll touch on that too. The Magnuson-Moss Act that is important for us to remember with that. But when you start looking at certain things, like I said, I just have my hydros done at Wheels and Blades. I figured it's easier for them to do it. Even the guy in the shop said the way it's set up on mine it's probably easier for him to do it. And granted, then I don't have to spend 2-3 hours doing it, and I can continue mowing. I've got a backup mower. I can set that up and get going with that. But with regard to he's using the OEM stuff, I'm sure, on that as he should. But that's important. And like you said, that oil, that hydro oil, is probably going to be the real important factor for you.
Hey, Greg, so if Trump were to change the hydro oil on his mower, he would say this.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Clearly, right?
He likes that OEM. That's right. And in that case, but no, it's going to be a real important aspect for you guys. Parts made by the manufacturers, you talk about, they can be they can be better. They're going to be a little bit more expensive. The one thing that is really important for you, I'll just go ahead and say, I mentioned the Magnuson-Moss Act. And
explain that to people with what you were telling me like earlier, because this is fascinating because I didn't know.
Yeah, so the Magnuson-Moss Act was set up originally for users, not the manufacturers. And what happened was years ago, you used to have a manufacturer would say, "Oh, you have to use our OEM equipment, otherwise we void the warranty." And they can't really void the warranty if you use off-brand stuff, because the example would be, and I'll use the example. I used to have a cartridge business, refilling ink and toner cartridges. And I'd have somebody walk in my store. They'd get out of their $50,000 SUV, and they'd walk into the store and they'd say, "Hey, can I use this refilled cartridge on my printer, because the manufacturer said it's going to void my warranty?" And I'll say, "Well, that's a great question. I really appreciate that." And I said, "Is that your SUV out there?" Because I could see right. I literally, I don't know how many times I did this, Evan, but I would look at the client and I'd say, "Is that your SUV you pulled up in there?" They'd say, "Yeah." And I'd say, "Okay, do you go to the fast lube oil change place?" And they say, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Well, it's reasonable. It's less expensive, saves you some time. But do you ever ask them which oil filter they use?" And they look at me like I'm speaking, like I'm speaking another language. But I said, "Well, you don't ask them on your $50,000 vehicle which oil filter they're using. Why do you care on your $100 printer which ink cartridge you're using?" They cannot. An OEM, a GM, Ford, Chrysler, I guess Stellantis now, they can't void your warranty on your vehicle because you used an off-brand filter, oil filter. If they can't do that on a $50,000 vehicle, you don't have to worry about that on your $100 printer. And like that is what we look at with our mowers. They can't void your warranty on your mower or on your other equipment if you use off-brand stuff. It's the Magnuson-Moss Act. It was set up so that the manufacturers can't soak you for you buy that $40 oil filter as opposed to being able to get one for $5 or $10. So it's setting up to protect the consumer.
And that's a perfect way to say it, though, too, Greg, because I'm not totally against aftermarket parts, but just certain things, even oil filters, Greg, look at the difference. I mean, when it comes to my engine oil, hydro oil, blades, and oil filters, I basically go all OEM. I guess you could go aftermarket for some of the oil filters. I mean, just it's crazy. Like Oregon makes pretty good blades. I used to run them, not so much anymore. I just run the Toro blades from the shop. I've tried some other blades. I won't name any won't name any names on the show, but there's this one local company here where we live. They were manufacturing blades, Greg, and I slapped them on my Cub Cadet, and then my buddies had borrowed my Cub Cadet Pro X 660, and these blades were just thin, and they dulled out. They dulled out faster than I don't even know what to say. They dulled out faster than a butter knife. And I'm just sitting there. Well, that's kind of the price you pay for the aftermarket blades. And even with that being said, I've texted Greg several woes. Greg's been the entertainment or recipient of this. I've changed a lot of carburetors on my weed whips, and I bought on Amazon. You can find a lot of good stuff. eBay's more of OEM. You just got to put in the right part number. But I texted Greg. I had some issues with my Shindawa T262, and I bought some aftermarket carburetors, slapped it there in my weed whip, and that thing didn't even run. It was like $20. You get a whole kit. Sometimes the kits with the hoses and stuff is good. Oftentimes, though, I don't find some of the aftermarket really that reliable. But we were talking earlier, Greg, about the Multi-Force has the dump in the mulch force. I'm calling it a dump insert on the Multi-Force, which kind of is. But there's some stuff that they got out there, Greg, that Bobcat, they don't make a mulch bucket for your mower, but there's some stuff that we could probably put on that would be, it's aftermarket, right? That would be considerably efficient, wouldn't it? I think you're muted. Oh.
Hello, this is Greg.
Did you mute yourself?
Yes, I did. I had to sneeze, so I apologize.
You sneezed or coughed. I sound more nasally than Greg. Greg actually takes allergy, but not to get totally sidetracked, Greg, but I need to see an allergist. Anyways, go on.
Yes, you especially in our business, you should go see. Oh, nice sniff. You should go see an allergist. I just wanted to clarify something I had said with regard to the warranty. I'm trying to find it. Let me just read right from the Magnuson-Moss Act. Prohibition of tying. The act prohibits companies from requiring consumers to use specific parts or services other than those provided under the warranty as a condition of the warranty. So, like I said, an oil filter, air filter, something like that, you can use it, and you can use an aftermarket on something like that, but they can't. It just depends on what's under warranty or not under warranty, but they can't void your warranty because you used it. So it's a little bit confusing, but that's it just kind of depends on what you're doing. So
it does. And to elaborate again, though, your Bobcat, you've been kind of tossing around the idea of maybe getting an aftermarket, what'd you call it, a mulch cart? I mean, I wouldn't even know what to call it.
Yeah, an aftermarket dump, mulch, not necessarily for mulch, but that's primarily what people would be using it for. So we'd be looking at getting something like that. I forget I want to say Mega.
What's it called? Mega Attachments? I'll look it up here. I think it's Mega Attachments. Because I think Sean Spencer he put a Mega Attachment. Here we go. Yep. Professional lawn equipment. Spencer put there's this thing called a bully bucket. I think this is what it was. It's about anywhere from $1,700 to $1,800. It's a bully bucket, and it's basically a little like mini, like say you had a Toro Dingo and you wanted like a bucket to scoop snow. It's like a little like front loader bucket, and it fits right there on the Multi-Force with the 2.5-inch hitch, but then 2-inch hitch. But looking back at it, Greg, you're right. They have these mulch dumps here from I guess Mega Attachments here. And look, I mean, I think they got one for your Bobcat. Yeah, here, this one, the Bobcat Kubota mulch bucket. It ranges from $799 to basically $1,000. I don't know if this one is this a manual dump, Greg? I think it's a manual dump.
Yeah, it's got to be a manual dump because of the I don't have a hydraulic. So it would have to be manual dump. The attachment. I'm trying to look to see the hookup here. They have a framing kit, I guess, that you would attach to your system, and I'm just trying to look at it here. It's a setup. Now the question is that going to mess up the front end, or are you going to potentially tilt, depending on the weight that you have there? So remember remember on the aerator when you were doing the aerator one time.
Yep.
And you thought you were going over pretty big, But now it looks like this thing has 2 arms on it that would attach to like 2-inch receivers, 2.5, probably 2-inch receiver.
Yeah, it looks like it.
That you would bolt to the system. And the new Bobcats, I think some of the newer ones, they have a front end, they have a 2-inch receiver, I believe, already on the front of it, and they might even have one on the back of it as well. So it's just a matter of how it's going to hook up. But yeah, you could hook up. And I see the arm on the picture there where you would just release it and then go ahead and lift it up. Just depends on how heavy that is. But this also looks like it's plastic too, right?
Yes. Now, so this, guys, with my multi-force, which is, I guess, OEM part for it, that's metal. This mega attachment, it looks like Schleybaugh Engine actually sells this. This looks like a plastic bucket. And I don't know because Greg and I use pitchforks for mulch, Greg. If we were going in there, throwing stuff in, if we would gouge this, it's a 40-foot wide by 48-foot long and 16-foot tall poly tub. It's polycarbonate,
I believe that
right?
I think that would be inches. I don't know if my Bobcat would be able to handle 48-foot long unit.
Did I say foot? Oh, man.
Yes.
Well, 48, okay, sorry, 40 inches wide, 48 inches long, and 16 inches tall. It's a polycarbonate. It's rated, this is funny, it's rated up to 300 pounds, which if you saw on my mulch force, which is an OEM product, it says it was rated up to 250. That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's really interesting to see that. So hopefully I don't think you're going to see, I don't know if they have counterweights that they have. I'm looking at one picture here. I don't think that's a counterweight.
Yeah, this is
you
funny.
know what, Evan? No, this is hydraulic.
Oh, is it really?
Because if you look at that first picture, or no, I'm sorry, the second picture, it looks like there's a little hydraulic pedal that you can push. Yeah, look at that second picture on there.
It does, and unless this second picture is a grass flap, see how it says grass flap? This might be the control for the grass flap because it's a cable.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably what it is. But even with this, though, this can probably hold, I'm guessing this mega attachment. See, some of the aftermarket parts are good, like Corey Ballard, I got a mixed opinion on like some of his stuff, Greg, and we've gone back and forth. You and I really both love the aftermarket, I guess, side catch, that pro catcher that he has. That thing's been great. I've tried some of the Ballard blades. I haven't been overly pleased with them, but to Corey's credit, some stuff is good. It's maybe not so good, but those blades were at least pretty thick. My buddy Nick, who's got a business out here in our local area, he loves the Ballard blades. But sometimes I guess, Greg, with the aftermarket equipment, the guys can get a tad more creative and more flexible on things and make it more of that price point and more affordable.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if Ballard sold any of that stuff, if they sold a mulch bucket. I'm surprised they haven't come out with one yet, but I don't see it.
But really, like the big things, though, because like I bought aftermarket, as we kind of land this here soon, guys, I've bought aftermarket discharge blockers. I don't really know if Toro or Exmark makes one. I think they do. Someone can email me and quote me on that. But I used to buy the Easy Shoot discharge blocker for the longest time. Greg, what's your blocker? It's not the grass flap, is it?
Quick Shoot.
Quick Shoot. That's been a reliable, you would say, that's been a really good aftermarket, reliable, I guess, discharge blocker for you, hasn't it?
It has. It was funny though. One time, I went to open it up or close it. I can't remember what happened. It's got that long arm, if you recall, and I went to open it, and the arm just snapped right off on my arm in my hand, and it snapped right at the junction, at the sleeve on the bottom of it, and I called Wheels and Blades and said, I was talking to Tom, the owner there. Really? Yeah. Really? I said, Tom, I said, I got a question for you, Tom. And I said, do you happen to have any extra arms? And he says, what happened? I said, the thing just snapped off in my arm. He said, Greg, I've never heard that happen before. So he said, bring it in. Let us look at it. I brought it in. They looked at me and they said, well, how the heck did you do that? We've never seen this. So what they did was they pulled one off of one of their other quick shoots in there, and they just pulled an arm off, and we put that on, and then they went ahead and ordered another one, and I just paid for the separate piece. So, but yeah, it was actually kind of funny, and but that thing has been pretty hardy for me. I've had a couple of bolts snap here and there, but other than that thing's been really nice for me to get. But it was not an original. It was an aftermarket.
Well, at least they stood by it. All right, Greg, to wrap it up quickly, and one more aftermarket debate. Our kind of information is that I guess the aftermarket parts are generally, I think they could be anywhere from 20 to 30% cheaper. And I've stayed away from buying aftermarket belts. This is from, I guess this could be anecdotal, but I think the aftermarket belts snap and break easier and quicker than the OEM belts do. I've fished around on a couple websites. Someone was recommending me to this aftermarket belt website, but they didn't have anything that fit my multi-force. And it just didn't, it was a little bit cheaper, but I just wasn't really, I guess, privy to, or, I guess inclined to buy it. So my big thing, Greg, as we park the Mower back in the trailer, is I'll probably buy OEM. Blades can be a toss-up, but I'm going to do more OEM blades. Oil filters are always OEM. Tires, and tires are tires. We are trying to get a tire guy here on the show. Oil, I'm a purist. I get like the Toro or Exmark oil or Cub Cadet oil. I don't mess around with that. And then oil filters, sure, you can go back and forth. That won't really hurt, but really the main stuff that I'd buy OEM is probably hydro oil and engine oil. So, I mean, that's just kind of me.
Yeah, it sounds like you don't buy any aftermarket.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. And I'm not saying it's bad. Search around, guys, though, and look. But we hope is some of the information that we are riffing on has been informative.
Yeah, there was one company that we met out in when we were at Equip Expo. I can't remember the name of the company. I was trying to see if we could get him to come on the show. He provides for a lot of golf courses, and he was trying to get into the lawn care market as well. But they do a lot of OEM, and they do aftermarket. I hope if you're calling a place up and if you're gonna place an order for something, just go ahead and ask them. And a lot of these guys are pretty straightforward with you. If, hey, you know what, I was thinking of buying this OEM oil filter, and but you got this aftermarket that's, it's 50% less expensive. What do you think? And a lot of these guys would probably be able to tell you, you know what, this one we've had no issues with. And that's one of the things that I've liked to say. Even when I had my old business, the old cartridge filling business, people would ask me to fill a cartridge, and I'd say, you know what, we've tried to fill these and they don't work. And that's where I'm hoping where your supplier is going to come out and be honest with you and say, yeah, this is good, this is no good. So, but that's what you got to do is if you're going to buy something, you make sure you have a good supplier that you can trust, get a good relationship going with that sales rep or that customer service rep so that they're going to be upfront with you and say, yeah, you know what, Greg, don't buy that. Evan only buys OEM parts apparently, but he might want to try this one as an aftermarket. So
you're funny. Okay, we're gonna do a rapid fire landing the plane here on the show, guys. Make sure you check out Ezra McCarthy with Green Frog Web Design. He has the single page, I guess, more than solo operator, just a single page lawn care website for $99 a month. Make sure you use our code TurfNerds to save 50%. Holy smokes, 50% at the expo. And Greg, we're not going to do an outro a song to this. We're going to put you on the spot with Uncle Greg's Gregariousness. You're on the clock. Here we go. And now it's time for Uncle Greg's Gregariousness.
Hello, this is Greg.
Really? Well, it was really fun the other day. I got home after spending some time out with my son out in Colorado, and but it was we had a great time out there. We were able to go hiking a few times, and unfortunately, one of the trips I just wasn't able to make. I didn't have my lawn mowing season ready to go for me. I told them, hey, if we come back out in August, I'll be able to finish this trek. So unfortunately, I would like to be able to finish that one, but we didn't get to do it.
Greg, that was perfect. I'm sure you were not ready for that, and we had more than enough time to finish this. So, guys, thanks. We hope you enjoyed the show. Rate us, and if you want a free sticker, send an email to turfbirds@proton.me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Kentucky Blue, yeah.